it is going to go downhill real fast. Radical Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani has been emphatically elected as the next mayor of New York. And as this has happened, videos of his staffers, of things that have been said on the campaign trail, are resurfacing. And one of them was his staffer saying they're going to provide sex changes to everyone.
Zohran is literally attempting to do what conservatives say, we want to do, which is provide gender-affirming care to anyone who wants it for free, and we're going to ship people, we're going to fly people in and pay for their hotel rooms, and we're going to do all of the Fox News stuff. We're getting ideas from Fox News. I want to do that.
I wish he was joking, but I think they're actually speaking the truth here. And here was Zohran this evening, accepting victory and very positive at his post-election party.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Ugh, he is so infuriating. But progressives here in Australia, the Greens to be precise, are looking at Zohran Mamdani as the blueprint for the perfect leftie.
And on behalf of the Australian Greens, I would like to congratulate Zohran Mamdani on his election as Mayor of New York City. His campaign has been an inspiration to New Yorkers and progressive people around the world. Whether it's free buses, a rent freeze, universal free childcare and city-owned grocery stores, it's a vision shared by the Australian Greens. And it's a blueprint for every city where working families are being priced out of their own communities. When we tax wealth and invest in people, everyone benefits except the ultra-wealthy. But don't worry, they'll also be fine.
Yes, we get it. You love socialism, but it's never worked, and that's the reality. And I'm thankful that the Greens here in Australia are still a very minor party. But, James, I mean, this spells trouble. This is America's financial capital. It's probably the most important city in the world. And now it's going to be run by a socialist.
I love the New York Post headline said... something about the red apple. Trouble for the red apple rather than the big apple. I'm not worried about New York. I'm worried about Australia, with David Shoebridge saying they're watching Mamdani and getting ideas for city-owned grocery stores and free this and free that. And this is not just something that's confined to New York, although I think we're seeing it obviously amplified there. But this is obviously what progressives right around the world love. The other thing I found interesting from Mamdani's speech, which was not at all gracious, was he talked about the fact that New York is all about immigrants. Imagine if you were a New Yorker born in New York, your parents were born in New York, your grandparents were born in New York, listening to this.
New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Now, I've got nothing at all against immigrants, but New York is a wonderful, iconic American city. It's not a city of immigrants, for immigrants, run by immigrants. I don't think many Americans would be thrilled to hear that at all.
No, and I think watching that victory speech, my feeling very much was this has actually got nothing to do with New York, from his perspective anyway, and probably for a lot of New Yorkers who voted for him. This is Mamdani versus Trump. That's what he was setting it up as right there. This is the one man from New York who's going to take on the President of the United States. I mean, it read to me like a stump speech to say, I want to be President of the United States. And I suspect that's ultimately what he is aiming for. Now, whether or not he can do that will depend on how well his term as Mayor of New York goes. He may well cook his goose and the Dems may well go, well, you're damaged goods, buddy, we can't use you again. But that's what I read into it, is that's ultimately what he wants to do. And we should note as well that he won with 50.4% of the vote in a 3-horse race. Cuomo, who is damaged goods from the Democratic Party, pulled nearly 42%, which tells you about the significant dismay that a lot of people in New York had with the proposition of this. And then, of course, you had a Republican candidate in Curtis Lewa who picked up about 7% of the vote, which were votes that could have gone to Cuomo and, you know, made it a much closer race than it ultimately ended up being. I mean, he had 50.4%, so he was going to win. But it was by no means a massive victory or a showing of, you know, the entirety of New York is on board with Mamdani. They weren't. That's why so many people voted for Cuomo, but they're not going to be able to get out of this hole now.
I'll tell you my other observation watching his victory speech. He's a very good communicator. Don't like him at all, but gee, he knows how to rouse a crowd and he knows how to get his point across. I would say he's an unusually good communicator.
Indeed, and it is well worth noting that Obama supported him through this campaign and has told him that he will be an ear for him during his time as Mayor of New York. And you could say the same thing about Obama. I mean, whatever you thought of his policies, he was an exceptional communicator and a great orator. And if he's got the word of Obama to help him out on that, he's only going to get better from that perspective.
But it's really also just left-wing populism, and this is kind of what politics in the United States has sort of devolved into at this point. It's left-wing populism versus right-wing populism, and New York is going to go down the drain. The other thing that's been exposed as this campaign has gone on is exactly who is funding Zohran Mamdani, and his biggest funder comes from a PAC, which is a funding group over in the US, run by people who were associated with the Council of American Islamic Relations, that some Republican members of Congress have called for to be investigated for its links to Hamas. He's also received funding from George Soros's foundation, which funds a lot of left-wing activist groups. So it's very clear that the whole left-wing establishment, sort of activist establishment, got behind Zohran Mamdani, sort of as, I think, as a test case, really, to see how far can we push this? How far can we really go with socialism? And apparently very far. But one thing that should be noted is Zohran won't be able to run for president because he was born in Uganda. So that writes him out. But AOC is following the same blueprint, and this is clearly where the Democrat Party is going to go in the future.
Yeah, I mean, look, he'd love the opportunity, no doubt. But yeah, you're completely right. I'd neglected that. That is entirely true.